On this week's Goal Show, CONCACAF Champions League action with David Beckham on the glory trail with LA Galaxy. UEFA Europa League qualifying as super-rich Anzhi Makhachkala bid to make the group stages. Atletico Madrid's Radamel Falcao tells us about life in Spain. And Didier Drogba stars for Shanghai Shenhua in China. We start in Brazil.
The Campeonato Brasileiro reached its halfway stage at the weekend. Two of the leading contenders for the title met on Saturday as Vasco da Gama welcomed Fluminense to the Engenhaus Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. Vasco were eager to end a run of 3 games without a win, which had seen them fall off the pace at the summit. Fluminense, who were crowned Brazilian champions in 2010, were hoping to move level on points with league leaders Atletico Mineiro. Thiago Neves' left-foot volley in the 72nd minute had them on course to do just that. But that lead was to last barely a minute, as Vasco benefited from some generosity. Defender Goum turning Juninho's cross into his own net. Former Liverpool goalkeeper Diego Cavalieri unable to do anything about it. But in the stadium that will host the athletics events at the Olympics in 2016, Neves was to come up with another golden moment. His free kick 3 minutes from time too much for Vasco goalkeeper Fernando Praz. Fluminense's 5th win in 6 in the Brazilian National Championship.
Reigning champions Corinthians haven't quite been the same in the league as they were in 2011. After concentrating on securing their first ever Copa Libertadores triumph, their domestic form has suffered. 11th in the table, they hosted neighbours Sao Paulo on Sunday, a team they hadn't lost to on home turf in more than 6 years. That record looks set to continue as Paulinho caught the visiting defence off guard to set up Emerson Sheik just 6 minutes in. Sao Paulo may have been down, but they certainly weren't out. Luis Fabiano latched onto a Lucas Moura pass to level the scores. Moura showing a glimpse of what Paris Saint-Germain will be getting when he moves to France in January. Brazil international Fabiano was a constant menace and struck what proved to be the winner after half-time, superbly negotiating his way past Cassio in the Corinthians' goal. Elsewhere in Brazil, during round 19 of the season, 3 players were sent off as leaders Atletico Mineiro drew 2-2 at Cruzeiro. A 1-0 win at Internacional enhanced Grêmio's unlikely challenge for a Copa Libertadores place. So just a point separates the top 2 at the halfway stage. Atletico are chasing their first national title in more than 4 decades.
While the Copa Libertadores provides the centerpiece to continental competition in South America, in North Central America and the Caribbean, the CONCACAF Champions League is the biggest prize on offer. Clubs from Mexico have been the most successful in it in recent years. Last season's runners-up Santos Laguna opened their latest Champions League campaign at home to Aguila of El Salvador on Tuesday. Santos had Ariba Peralta amongst their starting 11, goal-scoring hero for Mexico in the gold medal match against Brazil at the Olympics. With just 3 teams in each group after a change to the format this season, Aguila were keen to avenge a 5-1 loss to Toronto on their debut in the competition. But Santos were in a ruthless mood here, with Carlos Quintero putting the home side ahead inside 6 minutes. Quintero then added another, converting the rebound following Daniel Luduena's free kick. Santos lost last season's final to their compatriots Monterrey, the first time they'd ever reached the CONCACAF Champions League showpiece. Edgar Lugo's first goal for them had Santos Laguna 3-0 up on the half-hour mark. Aguila defender Luis Marino was fortunate not to see red for his discrepancy on the line. Luduena subsequently put the game completely out of reach for Aguila, with a 4th before the break. The Mexican Clausura champions found themselves 5 to the good within 2 minutes of the restart. Quintero completing his hat-trick in front of a crowd of less than 5,000 at the Estadio Nuevo Corona. Despite Santos' overriding dominance, 5-0 is how it stayed. With the teams facing each other home and away in a round-robin format, only the top team will make it through to the knockout phase. Santos Laguna face a crucial trip to Toronto this week, while Aguila will need drastic improvement if they're to progress.
Only 2 teams from the USA have ever won the CONCACAF region's biggest trophy. DC United in 1998 and LA Galaxy 2 years later, back when it followed a different format and was named the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Only Real Salt Lake have come close since the competition's reformatting in 2008. Runners-up in 2011, they were looking to bounce back from a defeat to Herediano in Group 2 with a home game against Panama champions Toro. After dominating the first half, Real Salt Lake's Costa Rican striker Alvaro Saborio nudged them ahead just beyond the interval, after Paulo Araujo had seen his efforts saved. The lead was doubled 11 minutes later as Kyle Beckham's long-range drive found the bottom corner. Beckham was later sent off, but Real Salt Lake still got their first points in the CONCACAF Champions League this season. Herediano, who are from Costa Rica, will look to put pressure on Real Salt Lake when they go to Toro in the group's next game. Real Salt Lake will travel there after that, before a potential group decider at home to Herediano in late October.
LA Galaxy are another US side striving for success on the continent. Quarter-finalists last season, Bruce Arena's team hosted Isidro Metapan as they got their latest campaign underway. The visitors from El Salvador were first to strike at the Home Depot Center. Nicolas Munoz on target after Todd Donavant had cleared a Paulo Suarez shot off the line. But Major League Soccer's reigning champions hit back with 2 quick goals. First, an own goal by Isidro Metapan defender Jose Alvarado made it 1-1 after a cross from David Beckham had caused problems. And Robbie Keane put the Galaxy ahead with the assist again coming from Beckham. The 37-year-old had only played once in the previous month for LA, but found himself on the scoresheet before half-time. His 6th goal of the year. Having scored in the first half, Keane's night was to turn sour with 20 minutes left. Booked for an apparent dive here, he gestured to the bench to be substituted in order to conserve his anger at the decision. The Mexico referee took exception to that, though, and sent the Republic of Ireland striker off with a 2nd yellow. Undeterred, Galaxy made the game safe when Michael Stevens set up Brazilian Juninho. This foul by Brian Gould then saw Isidro win a penalty, which Munoz converted as the topsy-turvy nature of the game continued. Galaxy, who were missing injured forward Landon Donovan, had the final say, though. Juninho's 2nd, completing a 5-2 win. Galaxy are in Group 5 with the Puerto Rico Islanders their next opponents. There are 8 groups in total, with the format of the group stage altered for this season.
The Major League Soccer regular season is 2 months from its conclusion. Former England international Paul Mariner is keen to ensure his Toronto side don't end up as the worst team. They travel to playoff hopefuls Houston Dynamo at the weekend, but the hosts made all the early running in the first half and were rewarded 21 minutes in. Will Bruin finishing calmly for his 11th goal of the season, with a Toronto defence containing Island international Darren O'Day unable to prevent it. Toronto had only won 5 games all season prior to this, but improved after half-time. Luis Silva failing to get any power on this effort as Mariners' team threatened. With time running out, Toronto finally found the goal their performance merited. Terry Dunfield's header, just his second goal of the season, saw the visitors snatch a precious draw. For Houston, it was a missed opportunity to close the gap on Eastern Conference leaders, Sporting Kansas City.
In the West, the San Jose Earthquakes were looking to improve their unbeaten streak at home to 11 matches, facing the Colorado Rapids. Top of their conference with the best record in MLS, the Earthquakes started superbly at the Buckshaw Stadium. London-born former Tottenham trainee Simon Dawkins striking in the 11th minute for the hosts. Colorado began the game second bottom, and Alan Gordon increased their problems before half-time, scoring from close range to make it 2-0. The Rapids were given some hope after the break, though, as Jamaican international Tyrone Marshall reduced the deficit after coming on as a sub. Dawkins' performance proved key for San Jose. Unmarked again, he netted his second of the night to re-establish his side's 2-goal lead. And the Earthquakes went on to secure a convincing win with 15 minutes left, as Gordon completed a brace of his own. Just a second win in 5 league games for the Californian title hopefuls. Their closest challengers for top spot in the West, the Seattle Sounders, won 6-2 at Chivas on Saturday night. The Vancouver Whitecaps' playoff bid suffered a blow as they lost at the Portland Timbers. That victory saw San Jose become the first MLS team to reach 50 points this season. Real Salt Lake's draw with Philadelphia hampered their efforts to finish in the top 3. Houston's draw with Toronto saw them miss the chance to go second in the East ahead of New York's trip to Kansas City late on Sunday night. Toronto remain bottom with the worst record of all 19 teams in Major League Soccer.
Antonio Cassano's shock transfer to Inter kicks off our roundup of last week's major news stories. The Italy international striker left city rivals Milan, with Gianpaolo Pazzini going in the opposite direction, with Milan also paying a fee. Former Inter striker Adriano returned to his former club Flamengo 5 months after being released by Corinthians. The troubled 30-year-old has signed a contract until the end of the year. Antonio Conte outlined his anger over his 10-month ban for failing to report match fixing whilst in charge of Siena. The Juventus head coach lost his appeal on Thursday, with the Italian football authorities upholding the decision.
It's just absurd. Today I can finally say that this whole ordeal is absurd. Not only Juventus fans, but all football fans need to know what I'm going through, what they've done to me, and what they continue to do to me, because it's something they should be ashamed of.
È una vergogna.
And after weeks of speculation, Turkish midfielder Nuri Sahin became a Liverpool player on Saturday. The 23-year-old moving to Anfield on a season-long loan after failing to establish himself at Real Madrid.
Coming up in part 2 of this week's Goal Show. Last year's runners-up Athletic Bilbao face opposition from Finland in Europa League qualifying. And action from the Chinese Super League. Welcome back to this week's Goal Show. Still to come, Radamel Falcao on his career and hopes for the future. And the latest on the Chinese adventure of former Chelsea favourites Didier Drogba and Nicolas Anelka.
Gus Hiddink's Anzhi Makhachkala continued their bid for a place in the group stages of the UEFA Europa League on Thursday as they welcomed AZ Alkmaar to Moscow for the first leg of their playoff tie. Anzhi are playing all of their European ties in the Russian capital due to a UEFA decision not to allow them to play at home in the volatile Dagestan region. Hiddink's team had already overcome Honved of Hungary and Dutch side Vitesse to reach this stage. But with Samuel Eto'o leading their attack as Anzhi's captain, they had to wait until shortly after half-time to make a breakthrough. Asina Traore on target, turning in Mbak Basufa's shot. But the 2009 Eredivisie champions showed some steely resolve throughout the match. And RZ's Victor Elm was unfortunate not to claim an away goal for them. Anzhi clung on for victory, but face a tough trip to Hiddink's homeland for the second leg, as they target a return to mainstream European competition for the first time in a decade.
Last year's runners-up, Athletic Bilbao, are also targeting a place in the group stages via the playoff round. Their opponents in midweek were 24 times Finnish champions HJK Helsinki. Marcelo Bielsa's team only finished 10th in La Liga last season, but entered Europa League qualifying as runners-up to Barcelona in the Copa del Rey. Aritz Adiris's early goal gave an indication of what was to come. Markel Suzayata then headed in from a corner, as Athletic showed no ill effects from their 5-3 home defeat to Real Betis 4 days before. Inigo Perez's free kick before half-time had Athletic 3-0 to the good and looking well set for a place in the group stages. HJK were afforded no respite in the second half either, with Adiris grabbing his second and Athletic's fourth. And Suzayata completed a brace of his own following some more suspect HJK defending. Andoni Iraola made it 6-0 near the end, rendering this week's second leg in Finland a mere formality for the Spanish club. Elsewhere, there were away wins for Italian duo Inter and Lazio. Steve McLaren's 20 face an uphill battle after losing in Turkey, while Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Molde are well set for a place in the group stage, with a draw to be made on Friday.
Atletico Madrid's Radamel Falcao scored twice in the Europa League final back in May, in becoming the first ever player to win the competition 2 years in a row with two separate teams. Atletico's 3-0 win against Athletic Bilbao came 12 months after he'd hit the winner for Porto against Braga. Falcao has since pledged his future to Atletico, with the club's success leaving him hungry for more.
I have a 4-year contract, so I will stay with Atletico. That's all I know so far. I have a dream to win major things with Atletico, but I know it doesn't depend on me, and it also goes hand in hand with the project that the club has set out for the next few years. I've not set myself a target to play in the Champions League with Atletico, but I really want to play in it with them.
Falcao's enjoying life in Spain, here filming promotional material for a new video game. It's a far cry from the 26-year-old's early career, which saw him leave his native Colombia at the age of 14 in pursuit of his football dream.
The first years were very hard, and at first I wasn't happy. But then I settled down, I got used to the lifestyle, made friends, and ended up spending 9 years in Argentina. The first 4 years I was at the River Academy, which brought in players who weren't from Buenos Aires. And that really helped me to mature and grow up in the sport and personally.
With
the support of his father, who was also a professional footballer and had his son named after Falcao, the Brazilian legend of the 1980s, Radamel came to prominence with Argentine giants River Plate, leaving them before their shock relegation in 2011.
The last years at River were hard. I couldn't enjoy my time as River was crumbling as an institution. Things were not right with the structure of the club itself, not just the football. Then one thing led to another and the team went broke and was relegated. It was hard for me, even watching it from afar. Because I love River and it's more than a football club for me.
Me formé ahí, pasó a ser más que un club de fútbol para mí.
The chance to move to Europe came in May 2009, when Porto paid nearly €4 million for his services. There he went on to have the most successful campaign of his career so far, winning the Portuguese title in 2011, as well as the Europa League.
I think Porto gave me everything I needed to showcase my skills, so I just had to focus on giving the team the best of my potential. They put me in the right system and in the right position. They did what they had to enhance my ability and help the team.
After 2 years with Porto, Falcao made the €40 million move to Atletico Madrid, going on to score 36 goals in a single campaign, a record for a player in his first season at the club.
After very successful years in Porto, I thought it was the right time to make the leap to a major league. I wanted the challenge to come to Spain and play in one of the best leagues in the world with the best players. It was a challenge for me. Atletico gave me the chance to come, to try to fight with the bigger teams, to try to reach the Champions League, to win the Europa League again. We managed to do well in Europe, but we're not good enough in the domestic league. I think all in all, it was a positive first year.
And after that fruit-laden first year, Falcao is optimistic about his future at Atletico and with the Colombian national team. He'll lead Atletico's front line when they play Chelsea on Friday in the UEFA Super Cup final.
I can't say what will be an ideal year for me, obviously to win everything, but I know you can't always win. Anyway, I always try to improve my performances and to help my team, to qualify for the Champions League, the World Cup with Colombia, to win the top goalscorer award. So many things could make it an unforgettable season. Too many draws may have cost Shanghai Shenhua any chance of glory in China this year, but the signing of Didier Drogba is proving profitable. Set up by his former Chelsea teammate Nicolas Anelka, the Ivorian needed less than 2 minutes to score on their trip to Shandong Luneng on Saturday.
The ball from his teammate Nicolas Anelka.
But Shandong, who are coached by one-time Chelsea assistant Henk ten Kate, levelled after half-time through Wang Yongpo's penalty. Brazilian Gilberto Macena then made it 2-1 to the host shortly afterwards, following a red card for Shenhua's dial-in. However, Anelka and Drogba were to combine again, with the latter netting his second after rounding the keeper. Shenhua appeared vulnerable at the back though and went behind again when Jose Ortigoza broke free of the defence with a little over 10 minutes left. There was to be a final twist though, Anelka heading home to rescue a point for the 10 men 3 minutes from time.
Who stroked the ball home, unmarked at the far post.
With the Chinese Super League nearing its end, leaders Guangzhou Evergrande were held to a draw by Tianjin Teda, while Jiangsu Sainty moved to within 1 win of the top after victory over Henan Construction. 7 rounds of the season remain, with Marcello Lippi's Evergrande hoping to retain the title. Shenhua, who are coached by Argentine Sergio Batista, are 10th after 12 draws from 23 games.
Cristiano Ronaldo is the latest winner of our Goal of the Week vote. His blistering strike for Portugal against Panama won nearly 50% of the votes in our global poll on goal.com. Coming up, a selection of 5 for you to choose from this week, starting with Thiago Neves' super volley for Fluminense on their trip to Vasco da Gama. Ronaldinho scored this superb solo goal against Cruzeiro in Brazil. It's goal 2 on our list. Goal 3, David Beckham's effort direct from a corner in LA Galaxy's group match against Isidro Matapan. Inigo Perez's free kick for Athletic Bilbao in Europa League qualifying is goal 4. And Didier Drogba's third strike for Shanghai Shenhua is goal 5. combining well with his old mate Nicolas Anelka, very much made in Chelsea. Those are your choices this week. To vote for your favourite, head for the video section on goal.com.
On next week's Goal Show, more from the CONCACAF Champions League with the holders in action. And can Adriano help reverse the fortunes of Flamengo in Brazil?